Hey everybody, it's Kneecap here, and today we have the weekly Retribution Paladin rework update. So Blizzard posted their notes for Paladin and Ret Paladin last night. We'll go through these. We're also up on the PTR as well, but let's go through and read what they're talking about first. So this is a pretty big change actually. Retribution Aura has been redesigned. When any party or raid member within 40 yards takes more than 30% of their health, this was 50% of their health. It is, and the damage does decay, and healing decaying over 30 seconds. So it's not like it's powerful right away and then it kind of goes down. That's going to decrease the number of the amount of damage that it's giving your raid overall. So maybe it's like 1-2%, whatever. But that's kind of what was to be expected anyways. And so 30% is going to happen a lot more often than 50%. They were, some people were pulling up logs where certain guilds or certain polls of certain guilds were not even ever taking 50%. I said in a guild like mine, it probably happens pretty often. But yeah, this is probably a good change overall as far as having it be more valuable, as far as it's going to proc more, and as far as not having to maybe do degenerate things to make sure it procs. So it's probably a lot better in that way. Wake of Ashes, Execution Sentence, and Final Reckoning now contribute to Blessing of Dawn if they are providing Holy Power. There's a lot of just kind of fixes of things that weren't working probably the way they were intended to or working well. So again, here, various abilities are no longer providing extra triggers of Blessing of Dawn. Various abilities no longer incorrectly benefit. So just kind of a lot of fixes here. Unbreakable Spirits tooltip now correctly calls both Divine Protection and Shield of Vengeance. So apparently like that ability was working, but the tooltip was wrong. Fixed an issue causing Sanctified Plates to grant 0 extra health. So again, no nerf to Sanctified Plates yet. Punishment now triggers Crusader Strike correctly. That's the interrupt thing. Lightforged Blessing healing now appears in the combat log as Lightforged Blessing rather than Healing Burst. Lightforged Blessing now heals for 3% instead of 5%, so a bit of a nerf there. We will see some nerfs today. Divine Purpose no longer interacts with Execution Sentence. Crusader Aura no longer grants extended ranges. So that's just something that they were playing with that apparently they're going to go away from. As we move to the Retribution stuff, fix an issue causing the set bonus to grant 20% damage instead of 10. Hopefully that's just on the PTR and we're not like actually buffed on live right now because it's still not great damage on live. Set bonus now works with Justicar's Vengeance, which is good. I wish that would come on live actually. Mastery Hand of Light now provides less holy damage point per point of mastery. They have a dev note here. We're currently experimenting with this as Retribution Paladin's damage is made up of both physical and holy. This leaves their physical damage in a fairly bad place, which we'd like to amend. So this is kind of a nerf, but I actually just kind of, in my opinion with the dev note, I view this as they're just kind of trying to rework it in a way, right? And it could end up being a buff, it could end up being the same, but they're just trying to reimagine it as they're reimagining everything with Ret right now. New talent, Rush of Light. The critical strikes of your damaging single target holy power abilities grant haste. I guess this isn't working on the PTR, somebody was saying. New talent, Divine Wrath. Avenging Wrath Crusade duration increased by 3 seconds. New talent, Judge, Jury, Executioner. Increases critical strike chance of judgment by 10%. Final Reckoning damage is nerfed. Wake of Ashes damage is nerfed. Execution Sentence now deals 25% of damage during execution, was 20%, so that's buffed. Aegis of Protection, Shield of Vengeance Absorb is now 20%, not 30%, so a slight nerf. Not a major one, but it is what it is. The old functionality of Executioner's Will been removed, now simply increases the duration of Execution Sentence and Final Reckoning by 4 seconds. Abjudication now increases critical strike damage by 5%. This is actually very nice. This is going to be something you're going to want to take like all the time. Instead of increasing critical strike chance and Hammer of Wrath, critical strikes cause a blessed hammer to spiral around you, dealing holy strike damage to enemies. Commanding Judgment now deals normal damage to the primary target. Dusk and Dawn's Wake of Ashes now correctly contributes to Blessing of Dawn, which is, again, just kind of a lot of stuff being fixed with Blessing of Dawn, really. Hyler's Judgment extends duration of judgment by 3 seconds. It was 2. Physical Presence renamed to Divine Arbiter, kind of just a cooler name. Divine Arbiter increases Holy Strike abilities by 10% instead of 20, and your abilities that do Holy Strike damage grant you a stack of Divine Arbiter. At 50 stacks, you lash out, dealing Holy Strike damage to your primary target, and reduce Holy Strike damage to enemies within 8 yards. So, kind of like a bit of a cleave or whatever. And they said that the fire version of this, the magic damage of this, might be like a burst AoE. So this is kind of like a single target that also cleaves as of right now. And they're saying that the magical damage version, the fire damage version, might just be like an AoE. So you might be like, you could see a world where for single target, we're kind of more physical spec, and for AoE, Mythic Plus, stuff like that, maybe we're more fire spec, which is kind of interesting. Vanguard of Justice bonus damage per rank increased to 33%, was 20. Vanguard of Justice now also applies to Divine Storm. So this is actually very good, right? So this is a lot of people don't like this ability, from what I was reading. This is the one that makes your finishers cost more holy power, but their damage is increased. So we knew that this was going to have to be increased, otherwise it wouldn't make sense. So it's increased to 30%, and it's Divine Storm. So what I'm going to find interesting with this is, if you're going to play with this, you almost have to use Divine Purpose on the Paladin side, Paladin talent side, because a 5 spender for free is just so valuable. Like, it makes it's actually like a buff to Divine Purpose in a way. It makes Divine Purpose stronger. I also heard that it's, now that it affects Divine Storm, because it was only affecting your single target, it's actually extremely strong from AoE. I haven't got to test that out myself, but I was reading that this is extremely strong for AoE. So like a 5-point Divine Storm spender. Maybe they're saying that because they're running with Divine Storm, you tend to run your Divine Purpose more. So maybe Divine Purpose on single target, that could be a culprit there. Again, I haven't tested it enough to know myself yet. Things are changing so much, I can hardly even justify spending time testing things. Blades of Light now also causes Templar's Verdict, Final Verdict, and Justicar's Vengeance to deal Holy Strike. Crusader Strike, Judgment, Hammer of Wrath have all your abilities now correctly modified. Blessed Hammers removed from the talent tree. There's a dev note here. We feel there's something cool about spinning Hammer Fantasy, but we're happy with other ways to provide it rather than directly replacing Crusader Strike. I thought Blessed Hammer replaced Consecration, but maybe I'm wrong there. Divine Storm, Divine Hammer, Consecration tooltips correctly modified. Again, just tooltip stuff, just fixing some stuff. Burning Crusade now also increases damage of Divine Storm, Consecration, Divine Hammer by 10%. Fixed to functionality. Imperial Legacy now works correctly with Justicar's Vengeance, which is good. Consecrated Ground now has custom values for Consecration, Divine Hammer, and Divine Hammer now slows correctly. Divine Hammer radius reduced to 6 yards. It was 8 yards. Divine Hammer now deals reduced damage beyond 8 targets. Swift Retribution renamed to Divine Retribution. Divine Retribution haste increased by 2%. Blade of Justice deals 5% increased critical strike damage. Consecrated Blade now casts Consecration 100% of the time, but it can only occur once every 10 seconds. So that's, again, just kind of a way to replace Consecration. Art of War, chance to trigger, they moved it back down to 15. This is all over the place. Again, this is one of those things where it's hard to find the right balance, because one number feels way too low and then the other number feels way too high. That's happened a lot for Paladins, unfortunately. Searing Light is still a work in progress. Okay, so I mentioned this earlier. But the idea is, under certain conditions, you can create a large explosion of radiant damage. So maybe like a big AoE for fire damage, right? So that's kind of the idea there. We can go ahead and look into the talent tree a little bit here on the PTR. Anything interesting? For example, this is a little bit redesigned. Still looks a little bit weird to me. I don't mind pathing really too much. For me, it's a little bit weird how you have your Crusade or whatever can go down, how it just branches to the side so much like that. It feels a little bit wonky. It feels like there should be maybe a little bit more connections somewhere. It feels very disjointed, but I know a lot of other specs actually are set up like this, so maybe it's not that big of a deal. I'm just kind of used to it the way it was. Not a lot of changes here. I'm like in like a single target build, I guess. There's still our Lightforge Blessing there that you'd want to take, but again, I have Divine Purpose selected because I really like the Vanguard of Justice, or at least the idea of it. We'll see how it actually works out. Doesn't appear to be too many things changed on the talent tree too much, other than, of course, the actual, obviously, Crusading Strikes, I guess, is just absolutely overpowered. So Templar Strikes, I guess, isn't working fully. There's all kinds of things to play with on here. Like if you don't normally play on the PTR, but you're a Ret Paladin, this would be the time to download it. There's all kinds of stuff to play with on here. There's all kinds of things that might not be implemented eventually, or might be nerfed or changed, but there's all kinds of cool stuff on here to try out. So again, not a ton of changes that I haven't read already. Like there wasn't too much movement, too many changes here. I still would love to see like Commanding Judgment go down to 1 rank and Blessed Champion go down to 1 rank, so that you're able to take those a little bit easier for like your AoE cleave builds. Maybe I'm asking too much there, I'm not sure. Or maybe I'm just gonna have to be happy with not having all the abilities that augment my stuff the way I would want it augmented. But yeah, kind of setting up in a way that this left side might be more single target based and the right side might be more AoE based as of now, with some exceptions, of course. Like for example, Vanguard of Justice, at least as of now, is really good for AoE. So you'd still want to grab certain things on the side, on the left side, even for AoE. But they're kind of setting it up that way. Who knows if that'll stay that way. This stuff is changing week to week. I try not to get too far into things. Like maybe I'll do something for Vanguard of Justice since I really like it, but I have seen some of the community not like it that much. So maybe I'll do something on that. But then it sucks if they just remove that talent or something, right? There's so much change going on. It's super positive right now. Tuning is tuning. Let's end this video with a bit of a reminder. Tuning is tuning. We're going to be strong based on how they tune the abilities, based on our damage, right? So if they want us to be middle of the pack, we're going to be middle of the pack. Since they're doing this rework and they want us to be top 5, we're going to be top 5 in damage. That's just the way it's going to be. That's all tuning. What we have to hope for is that the spec is fun to play and interesting to play. We can have some interesting talent builds, maybe some nuanced talent builds. It's not just single target, multi-target, but maybe it's like single target with a couple adds, single target, with where we need burst, single target where we need sustained damage. Maybe we can have some nuance to our builds. That would be really cool as well. So those are the kinds of things that I'm looking for right now, is how cool and fun it is. And a lot of this stuff is really cool and really fun right now. And you can't take everything, which is a good thing. I say that on the Paladin side, how you can kind of take everything. You can't take everything on our Ret side, which is cool because there's so many good things to take. So it makes a chance for possibly a lot of really cool builds. So super positive about it. Like I said, maybe I'll try to do like a specific video like about a talent that I'm really excited about, like Vanguard of Justice, and kind of talk about it a little bit. For more like specific, breakdowns and stuff like that. But yeah, this is a weekly update. It wasn't a ton of stuff. It was a little bit of just kind of changing functionality, changing tooltips, making things work correctly. A few nerfs as well as we start to get into the tuning phase. A few nerfs, which you're going to see. You're going to see nerfs, unfortunately. Sanctified Plates, still not touched. Hey, whatever. I'll take it, whatever. If you're not good, now they did nerf Shield of Vengeance a little bit. I was worried about that. I don't want them to nerf everything of the other defensives just to keep Sanctified Plates. But if I keep Sanctified Plates and everything else, that's great. I want to have survival. So that's every time there's an update and Sanctified Plates isn't changed and nothing else is removed, that's kind of a win. It does make me hesitant though. Shield of Vengeance got nerfed a little bit via Aegis of Protection. We'll see. A little nervous, but still optimistic. But yeah, that's it for this week's Red Update video. Like I said, maybe be on the lookout for a specific talent breakdown that I'm excited about, such as Vanguard of Justice. Like, spoiler alert, if I do one this week, it'll probably be Vanguard of Justice. But yeah, as always, I do ask you to please subscribe to the channel. It helps me out so much. And other than that, everybody, have a good one.